Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we have a pretty hefty Borderlands 4 update to talk through, and this one is all about making the game feel better to play, better to farm, and a whole lot smoother overall. What really stands out first is how the game is being pushed toward a faster loop. World bosses are showing up more often, world events have a shorter wait between appearances, and that alone is huge for anybody who likes to stay out in the open world and keep the action moving. Instead of waiting around, you are getting thrown back into the fight much sooner. Which is exactly the kind of change that makes a looter shooter feel more alive. On top of that, the update keeps pushing rewards and quality of life forward, so the whole experience feels less clunky and more focused on actually playing. Then there is the Mad Ellie and the Vault of the Damned side of the update, and this is where a lot of the mission and story fixes come in. The notes call out access issues for players with the entitlement, which means some folks who should have been able to get in were running into problems. That has been addressed. Alpha Kragon getting stuck in the spawn den has been fixed. Caged Kragons will stay put until you are ready, and co-op has been improved so friends can join nightmare sessions once they pick their character. The game is also giving you more helpful pop-up tips for things like ice fishing and hidden crates, which sounds minor, but in practice, it makes that new content much easier to understand the first time through. The story missions themselves also got a good amount of cleanup. Base game progress now carries on correctly even if you jump into the new story early, and several mission-specific issues have been ironed out, so the story does not stall in weird ways. There are fixes for objectives moving properly, waypoints behaving correctly, and characters not getting stuck where they should not. The Nightmare Rift side of things got attention too, with changes so the rifts stay visible, can be entered while riding vehicles, and bosses behave more consistently. The tone of the dev notes here is basically, we want the chaos, just not the confusion. And honestly, that is the right kind of fix for this kind of content. Legend of the Stone Demon also got touched up, and this part is all about tightening the flow. Enemies for combat chests arrive faster now, Vile-type enemies stay in their own territory instead of drifting where they should not be, and Fearful Petra reacts properly when enemies are nearby. The game also adjusts a bunch of enemy traits so they interact more fairly with your abilities and elemental damage. Deal with it now lets through part of your action skill damage, elemental eater through part of your elemental damage, and the point there is pretty clear. If you build around strong action skills or elemental guns, the enemies should not feel like they are ignoring your setup completely. That is a really important kind of balance change, because it makes your build feel like it still matters. And this is where the update gets especially interesting for build crafting fans, because there are big tune-ups for Vault Hunters too. C4Esh got attention across gameplay and gear interaction, while Harlow, Rafa, and Vex-related systems all got adjustments to make their skills and class mods behave more reliably. Harlow's 0 point and other parts of her kit are being refined, Rafa's passives and class mod bonuses are getting more consistent, and the general idea is that skill trees should feel satisfying instead of awkward. That kind of work is easy to overlook if you only look at the headline gear changes, but it matters a ton once you get into higher level play and start testing real builds. Now let's talk about the loot, because this update does not hold back there either. The notes call out a long list of weapon and shield tuning, and the end result is that a lot of underperforming gear gets real reasons to be used again. In the gear list, you see things like Unstable Core, Falca, Reminisce, Laser Cutter, McCready, Hellwalker, Bonnie and Clyde, King's Gambit, Budget Deity, Vamoose, and a bunch of others getting buffs or mechanical cleanup. Some of the biggest boosts are the kind that will immediately change how a weapon feels in your hands, like higher damage, faster fire rate, stronger underbarrel effects, or better proc behavior. There are also shield adjustments that make legendary energy shields more attractive by boosting capacity and improving their unique effects, so survivability and offense are both getting pulled into the same conversation. The notes also make it clear that pearlescent gear is being handled carefully, with more consistent drops and cleaner part pools so the rarest loot feels special instead of messy. That is exactly the kind of thing players notice after a few runs, because a rare weapon should feel rare in the right way, not random in a frustrating way. And if you're someone who loves chasing perfect rolls, this update is basically designed to keep that chase exciting without making the gear feel all over the place. For the weekly side of things, the May 7th reset brings Divisioner as the weekly Big Encore Boss, his Vile Sanctum as the weekly Wildcard Mission, And the legendary reward there is the Bonnie and Clyde Jacob's assault rifle. Maurice's black market vending machine is also refreshed, so there is that usual little treasure hunt on top of everything else. That weekly rotation is small compared to the larger tuning pass, but it gives players a clean reason to jump in right away and chase something specific. So overall, this patch feels like one of those updates tries to make Borderlands 4 play the way people already want it to play. More action, less waiting, cleaner missions, better loot feel, and stronger reasons to experiment with different weapons and Vault Hunter builds. It is not just fixing problems in the background, it is actively pushing the game toward a faster, smoother, and more rewarding loop. And that is exactly the kind of update that matters when you're putting in serious time on Kairos.